same thing over and over again, it's good, but you're only moving the energy through the same subtle energetic pathway over and over again. Now, we're a very complex energetic system, we are, so, there's a lot of energy aspects to us that we have to move the energy through. This is why when you eventually get the whole 108, you're moving the energy through every subtle energetic pathway that makes you up, okay? Not just, sometimes people just, well, this is my favorite move, I'm going to do this over and over and over, and that's not a bad thing, but you have to understand you are not just those subtle energetic pathways, you're many more, okay? So usually what happens is that the ones that we're not comfortable doing, that's where we have the greatest degree of blockage, okay? That's where the energy's not moving, that's why it doesn't feel as comfortable, okay? So think of it like that. Try to expand your perception beyond thinking like, if I go down, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable, as long as it's not something physically acute saying, listen, you can't do this because there's something physically going wrong, but think of it as energy. If you feel like, okay, well, yeah, okay, I'm okay there, okay, then the energy's moving. But if you go a little further and your back starts hurting physically, don't do it, okay? But think of it as energy, just think of, that little bit of, not discomfort, not acute discomfort, but when, the body sort of, it's sort of like when you're stretching, you know what I mean? When you stretch, it's not that you're hurting yourself, it's just that you're taking it just a little bit further. You're moving the energy just a little bit more, okay? So let's give it a try from the beginning here. So we'll just, I'm sorry.
When you come up, you keep your hands here, and you bring your whole body,
yes.
Not your hands.
No, the whole body. No, that's why I'm trying to be very explicit, Marianne. When you gather here and crisscross here, okay? See how the lower dantian is at my navel, and when I come up,
still there.
Okay, still there. So that's why I'm saying the whole body comes up as one integrated unit. Okay, and that's going to make sense when we get to the next move. Because when we get to the next move and we make our pivot, my left hand's already where it needs to be. My right hand comes up. And now my left hand, when I just turn the palm, is exactly where it needs to be. If I brought it up here and I go to do crane cools at swing, I got to go back down again. Our system is such an economy of energy, okay? All right, let's give it a try, okay? Now, the only thing that happens here, guys, is that when I try to utilize the mirror to have you see yourselves, it sometimes can be disorienting because it's not the exact way that you're doing it in the form. So try not to let that disorient you too much. Okay, so let's give it a try. So I'm going to face the mirror, and it's not a complete form yet, so we're in feet shoulders distance apart here. I'm going to take you through the whole form here for what we know so far. So in Wu Ji, now you want to take and you want to begin to create a preparation for you. And that's one of the things that we do, like we talked about in the very beginning, before we bow in, is focus the mind on the breathing at the lower dantian. Because one of the most disadvantaged things is that constant ticker tape chatter. Okay? So if you focus the mind on the breath here, you begin to dismiss that monkey mind. Okay? And bring your awareness to the lower dantian, which is the center of the physical vessel. So from Wu Ji, first movement's called commencement. Extend out through the crane heads to shoulder height, and then seat both wrists so that the palms descend down to what we call top of the thigh height. The next movement is called gaze left. So the weight is shifted through the left foot, and just the left crane head rises to shoulder height, where you're going to seat that wrist. Okay, and now engage the right quad, turning the body. And now you begin to shift the weight through the right foot as the right crane head rises to shoulder height and the left palm descends to top of the thigh height as the weight is going through the right foot, and then you seat the right wrist. Now you're squared up there. Your palms should be flat. Your hands need to be alive. You need to be expressive of the energy. Now, with the weight through the right foot, it lets you pick up the left toes slightly and pivot on the left heel as you turn the left palm up, making your chi ball. Now, once you make that pivot with the left foot and you make the chi ball, then you're going to roll the weight back through the left foot. That allows you to pivot on the empty right heel, sink the weight, and then you're going to C-step through, and you're going to stroke the bird's tail. Remember what we worked on Tuesday. There you go, Francis. And your hand will be right out in front of the chest there. The left hand, Francis, there you go. And the right hand back to the hip. And then you just have to sink it in your bow stance there. If you move back a little bit in line with Roy, you'll be able to see Roy there, and he'll be a good one to, and Karen's also there, okay? Now, think of Pong Lu Jian. You're going to roll the weight back, and as you pivot on the left heel, turn your left palm down and your right palm up, sink the weight and engage the rear quad. And as you're C-stepping through, let the left palm drop and connect with the right wrist. Remember, we worked a lot on this Tuesday. And then in that gentle rising arc, that turns up and goes to your chin height in your bow stance. And you'll just want to go a little wider with your stance there, Marianne. And then you can see how badly your left foot's angled to the mirror. You want to, there you go, that should feel a lot better. Okay. And now think of your roll back or your Lu. As you roll back, right palm up, left palm down. Hands are equally and consistently spaced as you turn from the waist and sink the weight through the left foot. And then circle the left fingers down, up, and then your press. The knife edge goes behind the right wrist. And into your bow stance, that's going to go to your chest height, center of chest, again in a bow stance. Not bad. Okay. As you roll back, both palms turn down and the left wrist slides over the right. And the hands separate the shoulders distance. So now you're back up on your heel here. Slight turn to the left. Guide the palms down to waist height. So you want to be empty here on the heel. And then push, or on as we call it. Fingertips to level with your shoulder. Are you okay, Francis? I know it's hard to, like, maybe when we line up and do it again, you can line up right here and you'll be able to see me. When it's very, very new to you, it's like you're in no man's land. There's nobody to watch, okay? So wrist press, so your energy goes as you roll back through the fingertips. Okay, now, keeping the hands like this, pivot on your right heel as far as your flexibility permits. For most people, the right foot's going to stop in front of the mirror, and that's fine. Sink the weight through the right foot and go into a cat stance on your left toes as you turn your left palm towards you and you make your crane's beak. And then as you draw the left foot into a tighter cat, bring the palm under the beak. Now, single whip. Make sure when you C-step out with the left foot, you try your best to go shoulders distance. As you expand here, and as you sink the weight, you seat the wrist looking through tiger's mouth. Now, keeping the left foot flat, you're going to roll the weight back as you open the right hand and the body turns slightly to the right. Pivot on your left heel slightly. Sink the weight, and remember lift hands. You're going to bring the right knee up, right fingertips under the right eye, and then touch on the heel in line with the left heel. Now think of what we just did. Now you got to be empty on the heel here. Now you're going to pivot to the courtyard here. This is where it might be a little disconcerting because of the direction. When you pivot on the left heel, the left palm blocks down and the right palm goes right over the back of that until the right toes are facing the courtyard. Remember, it's just what you did, only you were facing the mirror before. There you go. Now, stork spreads its wings. The weight's through the right foot, so the crane heads go out to the corners. So you don't want to move your foot yet. There you go. To the corner. Crane heads go up to the corners. And then as you seat both wrists, pivot on the left toes, so they're straight to the courtyard. And as you bring the left foot in and touch on the toes, the hands come into shoulders distance. And then as the left heel touches, you sink. Keeping the knees lightly touching, heels down, hands shoulders distance. Remember, this is scoop the moon from C-bottom. And then the palms spread out. Turn the palms up and the right wrist will go under the left and the right crane head will be equivalent to your navel height. And then come up vertical as the weight goes through the left foot. And your right wrist should be underneath your left. And both feet are flat and the weight's through the left foot there. Let's try it again a couple times, okay? It's a little bit disorienting when you turn the other way, okay? I know that, okay? Did you want to move here, Francis, that might be able to better see me? Okay. I know how challenging, and I know like you're sort of out in no man's land. Roy, do you mind being here so that Francis and Mary Ann can see? if you take the front spot there, because Carolyn's done it before, and Karen's done it before, and if Francis and Mary Ann, so we're going to face this way here, okay, and then that way, when Roy does his first two movements this way, you'll be able to see Roy. We're going to face the mirror here, and then when we turn the other way, you'll be able to see me. And then that puts like Eva and Joyce and Trudy in no man's land, but we'll work
Brain
it out.
challenge.
Okay, so here we are here. Feet are shoulders distance in Wu Ji. So you just want to go a little wider there, Joyce and Eva, because you have to have shoulders distance here for this movement to work. The first movement is called commencement. So you extend out through the crane heads to shoulder height. Once at shoulder height, seat both wrists so the palms descend down to what we call top of the thigh height. The next movement is called gaze left. So as the weight shifts through the left foot, the left crane head rises to shoulder height, where you're going to seat that wrist, and as you engage the right quad, it allows the body to turn slightly to the left. Now, as you begin to turn back to the center, the weight is shifting through the right foot as the right crane head's rising to shoulder height and the left palm descends. And then you're going to seat the right wrist at shoulder height. Now the weight has to be through the right foot there. So you pick the left toes up slightly and you pivot on the left heel as you turn your left palm up, and that creates the chi ball with the pivot. And then you roll the weight back through the left foot and pivot on the right heel, sink the weight, and then C-step through and stroke the bird's tail. There you go. And try to have the palm right in front of you there, Francis. Good. And as you roll back, you're going to pivot on the left heel and turn the left palm down, right one up, make your chi ball. And in the process of C-stepping through, the left palm drops and connects with the right wrist. And in a gentle rising arc, that goes to your chin height. There you go, Francis. Good. And your roll back, as you roll back, right palm up, left palm down. The hands stay equally spaced as you turn from the waist. And then circle the left fingers down, up, press to the center of your chest height in a 60-40 bow stance. That's it. And as you roll back, both palms down, left wrist over the right, separate the hands to shoulders distance. So you're up on the front heel here. And then turn the body slightly to the left. Guide the palms down the waist height as you sink a little deeper through the rear leg and create your push. Hands, shoulders distance, fingertips level with shoulders. Now wrist press as you roll back, press through the fingers, and pivot on your right heel as far as your flexibility permits you to go. And then sink the weight through the right foot, and as you go into a cat stance on your left toes, turn your left palm towards you, make a crane's beak with the right hand, and draw the left foot into a tighter cat stance as you bring the palm to the beak. And then go, see if you can go shoulders distance with your left foot in your C-step as you do your single whip. And as you're sinking the weight through the front foot, you're seating the left wrist, looking through tiger's mouth. That's not too bad, guys, seriously. Now think of shoulder stroke. Keeping the front foot flat as you roll the weight back, open the right hand and turn the body just slightly. You want to have your left foot flat there, Trudy and Eva, or Caroline, I'm sorry, and Eva. And then you're going to pivot on the left heel slightly. And now sink the weight. Think of lift hands. I'm going to bring my right knee up with my right foot angled, and my right fingertips are underneath my right eye. And then I'm going to touch it with my heel empty, and it's a heel-to-heel lineup. And now, pivoting on that empty right heel towards the courtyard, my left palm blocks down, and my right palm goes right over the back of that. And once my right toes are facing the courtyard, I sink the weight through the right foot. That's not bad, guys. Now think of stork spreads wings. With the weight through the right foot, the crane heads go up to the corners. And then you're going to seat both wrists as you pivot on the left toes and bring the left foot to face the courtyard. Now as you bring the left foot in and touch on the toes, the hands come into shoulders distance. And then as you sink it, you descend down, and the heels are touching, and the knees are touching. You go down to what you're comfortable with. Scoop the moon from C-bottom. The palms spread out. And all you have to do is be like this here, Francis. So you don't have to let the, see how my arms are bent? And then they can just be like at thigh height, and then they spread out. And then you turn the palms up and crisscross the right wrist under the left with the weight through the left foot and the right crane head in line with your navel. One more time. That wasn't too bad for the very first time going through the whole thing. Okay, try it again. The end part is a little, that's, the part that we just beginning, that can be a little tricky. So let's give it a try again, okay? Alrighty. So here we are here in Wu Ji. And one of the tricks, not tricks, but one of the most important things is to be relaxed. Remember, in the learning process, so many of us have a tendency to tense up on all different levels, even mental tension. That mental tension will radiate out through the physical body. So as challenging as it is, try to have fun with it. No one's scoring us or testing us here. That's the most important thing to understand. Okay, so here we are here. From Wu Ji, commencement. Extend through the crane heads to shoulder height. Once at shoulder height, seat both wrists so the palms come down the top of the thigh height. Gaze left. Weight shifts through the left foot as the left crane head rises to shoulder height, where you'll seat the wrist and engage the right quad, turning the body slightly to the left. Now, as you shift the weight through the right foot, you square up to the mirror as the right crane head comes to shoulder height and the left palm descends, and you seat the right wrist at shoulder height and the weight's through the right foot. That lets you pick up on the left toes and pivot on the left heel as you turn your left palm up, making your chi ball. And then roll the weight back through the left foot and then pivot on the right heel. Sink the weight first and then C-step through and stroke the bird's tail. Okay, there you go, left foot out in front. Almost done. And you're going to roll back. Think of palm Lujian. As you pivot, turn the left palm down, the right palm up, sink the weight, and you're going to make your chi ball. In the process of C-stepping through, the left palm drops and connects to the right wrist, and in a gentle rising arc, it goes to your chin height. And as you roll back, the right palm's up, the left one's down. Keep the spacing consistent as you turn from the waist. Circle the fingers down, up, press to the center of your chest height. And as you roll back, both palms turn down, and the left wrist goes over the right as you come up on that front heel and separate the hands to shoulders distance. Slight turn to the left. Guide the palms down to waist height. So you don't have to turn quite that far, Trudy, okay? And then hands come up, fingertips level with the shoulders. Wrist press as you roll back. Now keeping the hands shoulders distance, pivot on the right heel as far as your flexibility permits, no further. Sink the weight through the rear foot and go into a cat stance on the left toes as you turn your left palm towards you and make a crane's beak with the right. Draw the left in tighter as you bring the palm to the beak and go out shoulders distance in your C-step for your single whip here. Now, shoulder stroke. Keep the left foot flat, and as you roll the weight back, open the right hand and turn the body slightly to the right. And pivot slightly on the left heel. Now think of lift hands even before you do it. You're going to sink the weight through the left foot. You're going to bring the right knee up with the right foot angled, and the right fingertips under the right eye, and then touch on the right heel. Now, you're going to pivot on the right heel towards the courtyard. In the process of doing that, your left palm goes down to lower Dantian height, and your right one goes right over the back of that, and the weight's through the right foot there. And you need your right toe straight ahead in that case, Eva. There you go. And then stork spreads its wings, so the hands separate, and the crane heads go up to the corners. And then in the process of seating both wrists, pivot on the left toes, so now those toes face the courtyard. And as you bring the left foot in and touch on the toes, the hands come in at the same time, the shoulders distance. And now sink it through the left foot. Both heels are touching Mother Earth, knees are touching. You descend down for Scoop the Moon. The palms spread out. That's it, Francis. Turn both palms up, and the right wrist goes under the left, with the right crane head being level with the lower Dantian. And then come up vertical. Okay? just turn towards the mirror here, and I'll show you what we're going to work on next week here. Okay? So, if you're here like this, okay, if you give it a try with your heels, touching here, okay, and the right wrist underneath, right crane-headed navel, weights through the left foot here. You're going to make a pivot on the right heel, slight pivot here, and you're going to sink the weight. Now, without doing the feet, this is what the hands are doing. In a circle, the right hand goes underneath, and think of your index finger as coming up to the corner to your temple height. Your index finger with your thumb up to the heavens. Once that gets there, turn your left palm down and your right palm away from you. That's what the hands are doing. So go back here, and let's see what the legs are doing. So weights through the left foot, pivot on the right heel. Now, think of when you brought your leg up for lift hands. It's the same thing. So now as the hands are doing that, the left knee's coming up. You're going to turn the palms, and now we're going to square the body up and touch in our cat stance that we've been working. That's why your cat stance is so critical. And this is what we'll work on next week. Okay? So if you can see how relative and important your Qigong is, because if you don't do the homework, the Qigong, you haven't used the tools that will permit you to do this. Okay? So please don't ever think that I don't give you the tools to do it. I give you the tools, you just have to use them. Okay? Let me just get a count here if I may. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 or 11. So. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend. Thanks for your dedication. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Okay. It'll get easier, trust me. Trust me. Please. It gets easier. It's like anything else, no matter what we're learning.
Well, but a notice comes
You're
up.
very welcome. It's my pleasure always. Thank you.